Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mr. and Mrs. Oxford, the podcast for English learners who want to improve their skills in a fun and relaxed way. I'm JD.
And I'm Hazel. So lovely to have you with us again. And before we get started, can I just say, the comments from last week were absolutely wonderful.
They really were. We asked you to listen out for phrasal verbs in the wild, and so many of you wrote in to say you suddenly started hearing them everywhere.
One listener said she was watching her favorite series, and in just one episode she spotted give up, run into, and look after. And she wrote, I never noticed them before, but now I can't stop.
That is exactly what we love to hear. Once your brain is tuned in, it starts picking up on things automatically. The hard work is happening in the background, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Beautifully put. Right. Today's episode. JD, do you want to tell everyone what we're talking about?
I would love to. Today, we are talking about small talk. That sometimes wonderful, sometimes slightly awkward art of having a light, friendly conversation with someone about the weather, the weekend, how busy things have been, and why it actually matters a lot more than people think.
Small talk gets a bit of a bad reputation, doesn't it? People sometimes say, oh, it's just small talk, as if it's not important.
Right, like it's somehow less valuable than a deep conversation. But actually, small talk is the foundation of almost every relationship you build in English.
Exactly. It's the bridge. It's how you go from being a stranger to being someone people feel comfortable with. And doing it naturally in a second language? That is a real skill, and we are going to help you build it today.
So let's start at the beginning. What actually is small talk? Hazel, how would you describe it?
I'd say small talk is light, informal conversation that you have with people you don't know very well, or people you see regularly but don't know deeply. A colleague in the lift, a neighbor at the door, someone you're sitting next to on a train.
It's the kind of conversation that doesn't have a specific goal. You're not trying to solve a problem or make a decision. You're just connecting.
And that's actually the whole point. The content of small talk isn't really the important part. What matters is the signal it sends. I see you. I'm friendly. I'm approachable.
Which is why it can feel so strange when you're speaking in a second language. Because suddenly you're thinking about vocabulary and grammar and pronunciation at the same time as trying to seem relaxed and natural.
It's a lot to manage. And there's another layer too. Small talk topics and styles are very cultural. What's normal to talk about in one country can feel very personal or very odd in another.
That's such a good point. In some cultures, asking someone about their salary or their age is completely normal. In British English, for example, very much not the done thing.
Absolutely not. You'd get a very polite but very frozen smile.
Ha! So let's talk about what is done in English small talk and how to do it well.
Right. Let's start with the most classic small talk topic in the English-speaking world, and especially in British English. Are you ready?
Oh, I think I know what's coming.
The weather.
The weather, of course.
Now, people joke about this a lot. Oh, the British just talk about the weather. And yes, it's a cliché. But there's a reason it works so well as a conversation starter. It's something everyone has in common. It's neutral. It's never offensive. And it's always happening.
Exactly. Lovely day, isn't it? Can you believe this rain? Finally starting to feel like spring. These are easy, low-pressure ways to open a conversation.
And notice something about those examples. They often end with a little tag or an invitation for the other person to respond. Isn't it? Can you believe it? You're not just making a statement. You're gently opening a door.
That's a really nice way to think about it. Small talk is about opening doors, not closing them.
Exactly. Other classic small talk topics in English include the weekend, what you did, what you're planning, work, but in a general way, not personal details, and current events, though I'd say lighter ones, sports, local news, something funny.
Things to maybe avoid in small talk, especially with people you don't know well. Politics, religion, money, health problems. Not because they're bad topics, just because they can make people feel uncomfortable quite quickly.
Right. Save those for when you know someone better. Small talk is the warm-up, not the main event.
Okay, let's get practical. Let's look at some actual phrases you can use to start a small talk conversation and keep it flowing.
Great idea. So, starting a conversation. One of the simplest and most effective things you can do is make an observation about your shared situation. You're both standing in the same queue, or waiting for the same bus, or sitting in the same meeting room.
So you might say something like, "Long queue today, isn't it?" Or, "Have you been waiting long?" Or even just, "Busy in here."
Short, friendly, and it invites a response without being too demanding. The other person can answer with just a word or two, or they can open up more if they want.
And then to keep things going, the single most useful skill is asking follow-up questions. This is huge.
Yes. So say you mention the weekend, and the other person says, "Oh, I went to visit my sister." Instead of just saying, "Oh, nice," which closes the conversation, you could say, "Oh, brilliant. Does she live nearby?" Or, "How is she doing?"
You're showing genuine interest, and you're giving the conversation somewhere to go. It's like passing a ball back and forth. Your job is to keep the ball in the air.
I love that image. And a few really useful follow-up phrases to have in your toolkit. "Oh, really? That sounds lovely. How did that go? What was that like? Have you done that before?"
All of these say, "I'm listening, I'm interested, tell me more." And they work for almost any topic.
And on the other side, if someone asks you a question and you give a short answer, it's very natural to add a little bounce back. You answer, and then you turn it back to them.
Right? So if someone says, "Did you have a good weekend?" you might say, "Yes, really nice, thanks. We went for a walk by the river. How about you?"
"How about you?" is one of the most useful three-word phrases in small talk. It shows you're not just waiting for your turn to speak, you're actually interested in the other person.
Okay, here's a part of small talk that I think doesn't get talked about enough. Ending the conversation. Because sometimes you need to move on, and doing it gracefully is its own skill.
Oh, absolutely. In English, especially British English, ending a conversation is done very gently. You don't just stop talking, you give little signals that you're wrapping up.
What are some of those signals?
Well, phrases like, "Anyway, I should let you get on." Or, "Well, it's been lovely chatting." Or, "Right, I'd better get back to it." These are very natural, warm ways of drawing things to a close.
And people will recognize them. It's not rude. It's actually considerate, because you're not just trailing off awkwardly.
Exactly. And you can finish with something positive. "Have a lovely evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. Good luck with that." It leaves the other person feeling good, and it makes you memorable in a nice way.
That's such a good point. A conversation that ends well is one people remember fondly. It makes them want to talk to you again.
Now, I want to spend a moment on a specific context where small talk is really important, and that's the workplace.
Yes, because for a lot of our listeners, improving their English is tied to their professional life. And in an English-speaking workplace, small talk is everywhere.
In the kitchen while you're making coffee, at the start of a meeting before things get formal, in the lift, before a phone call begins.
And if you're not comfortable with small talk, these moments can feel awkward. You might end up just staring at your phone in the kitchen while your colleague stands right next to you.
Which we have all done. But here's the thing. A little bit of small talk with colleagues builds a lot of goodwill. It makes the whole working environment friendlier, and it makes people see you as approachable and warm.
Some useful small talk starters for the workplace. How's your week going? Did you have a good weekend? Are you busy at the moment? Have you tried this new coffee yet?
And one important note. In work small talk, it's totally fine to keep things quite light and brief. You don't need a 10-minute chat. Sometimes 30 seconds of friendly conversation is all it takes to make a connection.
Quality over quantity. A warm smile and a genuine "hope the rest of your day goes well" can go a long way.
Right, I think it's time for our quick recap. There's been a lot in today's episode.
There has. Okay. Small talk is light, friendly conversation with a social purpose. It builds connection and shows you're approachable.
Classic small talk topics include the weather, the weekend, work in general, and light current events. Topics to save for closer relationships include politics, religion, money, and health.
To start a conversation, make an observation about your shared situation. Long queue, isn't it? Busy in here today.
To keep it going, ask follow-up questions. Oh, really? How did that go? What was that like? And don't forget the bounce back. How about you?
To end the conversation gracefully, use phrases like, "Anyway, I should let you get on," or "It's been lovely chatting," and finish with something positive.
And in the workplace especially, even brief small talk builds goodwill and makes you memorable in the best possible way.
Okay, challenge time. And this week, we have a two-part challenge.
Part 1. Start one small talk conversation this week. Just one. It could be with a colleague, a cashier, a neighbor, anyone. Make one observation, ask one follow-up question, and end with something warm.
It doesn't have to go on for long. 30 seconds counts. The goal is just to open that door.
Part 2. Notice how it feels. Before the conversation, notice the nerves, if there are any. After it, notice how you feel. Proud? Relieved? A little bit lighter?
We talked about this reflection idea back in episode 2, and we think it's worth repeating. Paying attention to how you feel after a successful moment is how you build real confidence over time.
And as always, come and tell us how it went in the comments. We genuinely love reading your stories. Every single one.
And before we go, a huge thank you, as always, to everyone who has been writing in. Your comments, your questions, your little stories, they are the heart of this podcast.
If there is a topic you'd love us to cover, please tell us. Grammar, pronunciation, specific situations, vocabulary for a particular context. Whatever would help you most on your English journey.
Drop it in the comments. You never know. Your question might become our next episode.
And if you've been listening for a while but haven't commented yet, this is your sign. Even a simple hello from your country makes our day.
It really does. We love knowing where in the world you're listening from.
So next week, JD, would you like to tease what's coming?
I would love to. Next week, we are talking about pronunciation. Specifically, some of the sounds in English that learners find most challenging, and some simple techniques to help you feel more confident about the way you sound.
Because how you sound matters. Not for perfection, but for clarity. And there are a few small tweaks that can make a really big difference.
It's going to be a really practical episode, one you'll want to listen to with your notebook handy.
Until then, keep listening, keep practicing, and be kind to yourself on this journey. Every small conversation is a step forward.
It really is. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Bye, everyone. Happy speaking.